What? So fancy. We have like a little animation already before the show starts. I'd like to thank the people at Yellow Brick Road for giving me that little animation. We're moving up, guys. This thing is actually progressing into something that looks professional. But I'm so excited for this next episode. First of all, thank you for the responses to the first two episodes with Ryan O'Gorman and Tom Heyer, and the last one with Dean John Wilson. Lots of really, really good insight and really like people really liking the discussion. And it feels like when you guys send me messages, it feels like I'm doing something right. When people send me messages about, oh, I love the story about him getting rejected or him starting out as an onstage swing. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of why I'm doing this. One is to kind of break the myth of the whole glamour of being an actor and, all that, romance of it being a Cinderella story when you just need to find that break of a glass slipper to propel you into, being a superstar. But it's not that. It's a lot of hard work. And the whole point of Pick Your Brains is for me to demystify that process and to really go into the soul and the insight of these very human beings that just, have a hard time as much as you do, and that struggle just as much as you do, and that fart and that shit and that eat just as much as you do. So we're all pretty much the same, doing the things that we love, but, have a hard time getting to where we need to be. And that's the whole point. That's the whole struggle of it. This next episode is really exciting because I get to talk to a really good friend of mine. I was advised that before flying to the UK for Miss Saigon, I was told that, you're going to be very lucky if you find a cast and a tour family that you're going to get along with, because that's usually the exception to the rule. Usually it's hard. It's just work. People do this stuff on stage and then go home and, wait for the next day. But you're lucky if you have people that you become really good friends with. And I found that really good friend in this next actor, whom from the very beginning I thought was an amazing, intuitive young actor who was very instinctive, and I think I could relate to him a lot in terms of his process. I'm going to stop chatting now and bring him on screen. This is my really, really good friend, and I think he's going to be a big star one day, although he won't admit it. I changed my shirt just so that I could be a little bit more like him, because it's also almost like a heat wave here in London. This is Piers Rogan. Hello.
Hey.
What's up? Did you like your intro? I prepared for that intro.
It was nice. It was hit the point, I'd say. And put the right key on, so you kind of look like me, I understand. But
yeah. I want to look like you, although it's never going to happen. But
I have not got that size, though. I'm just going to tell you right now that you've got that size over me.
How have you been, mate? How have you been?
Well, yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Just each day is like the same day before. It's just kind of settling into that groove now.
Yeah.
Just taking each day as it comes. If there's something I want to do, I'll try and do it, and if not, I won't do it.
I was asking a lot my previous guests, what happened? Where were you when COVID happened?
Oh.
What were you in the middle of doing? What happened when it's as kidding aside, it's like it's the same question as like, where were you when 9/11 happened, or where were you when D-Day happened? It's a big world event that stopped everybody on their tracks. So where were you when COVID happened?
Totally, yeah. Well, this is fantastic. I was we were looking into a holiday, myself and Amy, my partner, looking to go skiing as our kind of big holiday of the year, and we'd tried to find
in France. Was it?
It was in France, yeah. So we looked at the areas at that time of the year where there's going to be good snow and everything like that, and we planned in advance because I was quite busy with work. I thought I'll give it a bit of time because they're still looking for other staff members, and I'll try and cover as long as I can. She would get as much money as she could to pay for the holiday and all of that. So we eventually agreed on going to South France in this beautiful little resort with a catered chalet. So they're cooking the meals for you every night, and it was just the dream. And it got to that point where it was like, okay, COVID's breaking out in the UK now, and it's sweeping across Europe. but everywhere's still open. So fantastic. So we thought,
I remember because we were messaging each other at that time when you were asking me, I have a holiday plan. Should I still go for it?
yeah, I was kind of asking around, what would you do? What would you do?
Yeah.
Because as I say, everywhere was open. We looked at the resort, the ski lifts, the slopes, the cafes, restaurants, everything was open. Even our chalet host said, you know what, come over, we'll look after you, whatever. And this was on the Friday, and it was a split decision. We came over to Essex because we were flying from Stansted. We said, yeah, we'll go tomorrow, because even if we go and then, you know, maybe a couple of days in, it might be tricky getting back, but we'll get a couple of days in at least. So there we are, Saturday morning, first thing, as most 30,000 other British tourists do, we found out. Fly first thing Saturday morning to go for the week, to fly back the following Saturday. We got there, got our skis, had a lovely catered meal, the most beautiful meal by this chalet chef. We go to bed. That evening, Macron declares that everywhere is going to close by 12 o'clock.
Oh my God.
All the ski resorts, everything. So I'd already been to sleep for about 3 hours by that point, and I thought I was ready to go up, waking up for skiing in the morning, and Amy turned to me with like tears in her eyes, just going, everywhere's closed. I went, what do you mean everywhere's closed? She's like,
Oh God.
everything's closed. The resort, the restaurants, everything. And obviously, with the panic that ensued with that, we were like, okay, well, we've just got to wait till the morning and go from there.
Yeah.
Got up and kind of sort of had a breakfast. Kind of everyone. There was three other couples in the chalet with us, and they were, you know, heard the news. Oh yeah, heard the news. And yeah, it was a case of, okay, where do we go from here? The chalet host came round and said, look, we think it's probably best you get out of the country as soon as you can. We don't really want to have the ownership of us. We don't want you stuck. It's just a mishmash, and like restaurants and cafes were already taking the chairs in and stuff. And I think we saw one pub giving cheeky pints out to the locals, but we had to put the skis back that day because we didn't even get a chance to get on the skis, which is the most like frustrating part about the whole holidays. We didn't even get a chance to go on the skis. I mean, I went on the slopes, I walked up the slopes, but I didn't go down them on skis.
So from basically all but one night, and then you needed to plan for your flight back into the UK.
Oh yeah, we essentially went to the south of France for a meal.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, from there we planned to
what
the next one out.
You were saying what was the scene like in the airport? It was like the Exodus in Miss Saigon. You're saying.
Well, we had to fly out of Geneva because there was a restriction on France, which Macron then declared that the Tuesday afternoon they were closing the borders as well. So we were like, oh, great, now where we meant to go? But yeah, we had a reason to get out and repatriate in the UK. So we ended up flying out from Geneva, which was actually worked out closer than when we flew in, and we thought we'd be safe. But because the borders closed at midday and our flight was until the evening, we just went first thing just to make sure.
Yeah.
When we got to Geneva, first thing in the morning, and our flight was at 9 o'clock in the evening, and you've just got hundreds of British people had come over that the previous day, and you knew they come over the previous day because everyone flies on a Saturday for skiing holidays. They do.
Of course. And
oh God, it was terrible, mate. It was like the Exodus from Miss Saigon. Everyone was just there with their bags waiting to go. It was just like, just want to go back home, really. And
oh my God, it's horrible.
And obviously you don't want to be too close to anyone because of this virus. You're just there with your bag in your corner and you see someone coughing. And at the time you're like, ooh, I'm in an airport, loads of people, I don't want to be here. Right. It was horrific. It was. I mean, I got home and we got the sniffles and we thought, well, it's not because of COVID, it's because of the stress of just trying to get out of the country. And that, like, it's something that you shouldn't feel like you need to experience in this day and age. But I mean, obviously, I'm not a refugee and nowhere near dreaming of being like any refugees. But like, I can empathise a little bit that we were stuck in a country in unknown territory and we needed to get back. And that crossover was just, I don't want to do it.
it paints such a picture as well. I mean, just that trauma and just that fear and anxiety, it just paints that picture.
And sadly, if we hadn't have gone in the first place, we probably wouldn't be able to claim any money back. The fact that we went because the airlines were open, yet it wasn't deemed safe. The fact that we went meant we could try and at least claim something back. So that's where the whole thing was. But yeah,
all right. But now you're here. Well, you're back in London. Are you? Where are you exactly? You're with Amy.
Yes. So her family lives in Essex.
Right.
So we did have a flat in London together, but we've moved out of there before the lockdown here started.
Right.
We just thought we'd be with our family. It'd be a lot more easing on the brain, shall we say. There's a garden here, there's a park nearby. So yeah.
Yeah, but which is perfect, because I mean, I was telling someone that there's no right or wrong way to adjust to whatever's happening. Like, nobody knows how to deal with this, so there's no right or wrong way. However you're dealing with it right now is probably the best way to deal with it.
I think there's a massive pressure as well to, get really hench in this time and do all the things you want to do, but in the end, does it really matter? I mean, that's the one thing I've learned from this lockdown is I've been so up and down with the stuff that I've wanted to do. I started going, really intensely working out at the start, then coming back to it a couple of weeks later. And I found a kind of middle ground with it, but I've been doing all sorts of different things, like just to keep my brain active.
Right. Okay. I still want to know. I mean, the whole title of this episode is "Where in the World is Guernsey?" Yes. And I loved it because when we started becoming really good friends, you would always talk about this island, and you'd always like to you'd paint the picture of where exactly you'd find it on the map of England. And you hold 2 passports, right? You held 2 passports.
Well, I hold 2 passports because my dad's Irish.
Okay, so explain to me where in the world is Guernsey, but more importantly, what was it like growing up on that little island, and how is it that you went from I mean, you went from this, and hang on, I need to put this up because this is absolutely adorable. You went from this kid, right?
Yeah.
To this stud.
Well,
wow, what stud.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah.
But so tell me, what was it like growing up island boy?
So if I could paint the image of Guernsey, it is this most tranquil, beautiful little untouched island of just, the analogy being wrapped in cotton wool couldn't be more apt for Guernsey. It is the safest, well, pretty much the safest place you can be in most of Western culture, I think, to be honest. Like, it is its own little bubble, and it's for any international or anyone who has no idea. Even people in England don't know where Guernsey is, to be perfectly honest. A lot of people don't. So, just south of England and just north of France, there's a little gulf of water, a little stream called the Channel. In the middle of there's a couple of islands that are offcuts from France hundreds of years ago, and now English-speaking, English kind of run islands, and one of them is called Guernsey. You've got Jersey, you've got Sark, Alderney, Herm. There's all little cluster of islands, and Guernsey is only 25 square kilometers. So in perspective, you could drive from one end to the other in its 35-mile-an-hour zone, shall I say, nationwide, island-wide. 35 miles an hour, you can drive from one end to the other in about 25 minutes. It's tiny. There is 65,000 people, I believe, now. 65, around that number.
It's like you know everybody on that island.
Well, that's the analogy. Well, you must know him, and I probably do.
Yeah.
If not, I definitely know someone who knows someone. So
right.
It's a complete different way of life. Like growing up, we have no massive chains in a sense. So no kind of McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, any of those massive corporate chains we don't have.
Right.
It's mainly a community thing. So it's lots of local businesses. We've got one town. We've got like villages in a sense, but it's just we call them parishes. So it's if you think of counties, we have parishes. But essentially, you're never more than 15 minutes from the town if you
Right.
ever go. But sometimes people don't even go to the town because it's too far.
Oh my God. We were in the middle of the tour of Miss Saigon, and I'm not sure I'm not sure if we were in Plymouth, where
Mhm.
you were celebrating something. Guernsey, you were telling me that Guernsey was celebrating something. What was it?
Liberation Day.
Yeah. So what does that mean exactly? What was Liberation Day for Guernsey?
Yeah, so Liberation Day is like our public holiday in a sense. I celebrated it not too long back here on my own. You guys did a great job of kind of getting involved as well. But
Yeah.
essentially, in 1945, when the Second World War finished,
Right.
Guernsey was the last stepping stone for Hitler before he went to the UK. So that kind of island was used as fortifications and
Right.
a restock and resupply, and they occupied the island as the last thing they did before it obviously went back on themselves.
Right. Right.
So in a sense, everyone in the UK remembers VE Day on the 8th, but we celebrate Liberation Day on the 9th because we were the last.
Right. Right.
And yeah, I mean, now it's obviously the history is still there, but it's an excuse for Guernsey folk to go into town, see their friends, basically have a couple of drinks.
So how did Guernsey boy end up in London, trying to make it on the big West End stage?
Oh, I don't know.
What's that story? It's
So,
like was theater and musicals, or music at least, in the consciousness of the island? Was there a lot of performances there, or?
yeah, I think it's for a little island. I think it's surprisingly artistic, and there's a lot going on in the island. I think there's it's the same on Jersey as well. There's a lot of not necessarily competition, but there's a lot of influence that goes into the arts. I think because when you're on that little bubble, there's only so many directions you go in before you almost find something.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of art in the island. I think to say that there's 65,000 people, there's about 5 or 6 different dance and drama schools there that are extracurricular, so after school, as well as your Amdram company. So I kind of fell about it by a means of discovery as well.
Yeah.
So I'd done a lot of sport as a kid. I was one of those, right, you do this on a Monday, this on a Tuesday, this on a Wednesday.
Right.
And drama was, the next was the Saturday or whatever. So
Yeah.
So
you do like football on one day, and then on the next day you'd be in your tights.
Yeah. Absolute shocker.
I love this photo. How old were you in this photo?
I don't even know. I don't want to know. But
seriously, look at that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's gorgeous.
To get to that point, I mean, there's some wonderful teachers on the island, and I was very lucky in the fact that my old dance school teachers were in the West End themselves. So it's not like it was a million miles away what London was.
Excellent.
There was people that came back. There was a guy who did professional productions in Guernsey as well, and I got to do one of them. But yeah, it was kind of by chance that I kind of fell into drama and just enjoyed it a little bit more than the sports I was doing.
Right.
Fun fact for you: my grandmother was an opera singer, and she sang for the Queen when she was 13, I believe. And
so that completely makes sense, because then it was really in your consciousness. It was in your family. So it wasn't that big of a stretch when you tell your parents that, oh, I want to go into the arts. I want to be an actor.
Yeah, I think for my mum it was always sport or art. Because she did a lot of graphic design. Yet at the same time she was a powerboating world champion. So it was like
that's so cool.
And yet my dad was into motorsports, massive petrol head, but he's a very good businessman. So I kind of had, I mean, really very, very lovely privilege in Guernsey to kind of have that freedom of choice to go and try different stuff.
Right.
And I think it was just the individual aspect of drama that attracted me more to it, because at the time when I started, I think I was around 11 or 12, I'd say, when I started getting into drama and dance.
Yeah.
I found that I was a really quick sprinter when I was young, but then obviously guys started getting bigger than me, getting stronger than me. So then I was like, okay, I can't excel as much in some sports.
Right.
Drama, I can just work with what I've got.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened, I guess. And I took my creative influence from like my gran, my mum, my dad, and just, in fact, I had a load of boys around me, which was really influential in growing up as well, that did the same thing.
You're also extremely musically inclined. Like you would play the bass, the trombone, was it? The trombone?
Tuba.
The tuba.
Yeah.
And you were learning something else recently that
I mean, I've got a guitar as well. I bought a trumpet. I mean, I haven't got around to it yet, but yeah, I will get round to it. I will.
Yeah.
Listening, I will get round to it.
So how important or how present was music in your life growing up? I mean, you mentioned that your grandmother was an opera singer, but then
massive.
What kind of music excited you or really got you into? Were you always a fan of musical theater, or
honestly, probably not. I'd say. I think musical theatre was the thing that kind of connected the bridges, in a sense.
Right.
It played into the strengths of kind of being a clown and then having a little sing song about it and then having a dance with it. It connected all the bridges, so it made sense. Right. Really, that's why I kind of went into that road. But music's been a massive influence even growing up. Like my dad was a DJ for the best part of 15, 20 years in a nightclub. So music's a big part of his life, although he wouldn't necessarily consider himself artistic. Obviously, my grandmother was an opera singer, although she hasn't done anything with it, which is a real shame. But she had that musical influence.
Wait, hang on. You say that so casually. Your grandmother's an opera singer, and your dad was a DJ for a nightclub.
This is ridiculous, isn't it?
It's like, wait, if you hear yourself, like, who has that story? Nobody.
This is why I probably can't make up a decision about what to do from each day.
So, okay, so you eventually you started performing very, very young, obviously, got into dancing, got into performing, got into acting. How did you end up in drama school, and how big of a leap was that, auditioning for drama school and all that?
I think by the age of 15, 16, a lot of the herd of sheep from my grammar school went into A-levels, which was, your straight A students into the maths, English, science, whatever. And for some reason, I'd done a lot of drama up until the last 3 or 4 years, a lot of dance. And I thought, hang on, this is something I'd rather go into here.
Yeah.
So there was a wonderful, wonderful BTEC course in my periphery that was going on as well.
Yeah.
And it was basically a performing arts BTEC for 2 years instead of your A-levels. And I think across England, BTECs get a bad stick because they're almost seen as a bit of a cop-out for straight line subjects, let's say. But there was a few of us that were interested, and there was a couple of the boys that were doing drama with me at the time as well, wanted to do the same thing. And it looked so fun, and it looked so perfect for what we wanted to do. So we just took the leap of faith, and I decided, I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to pursue drama. My body's still young, he says. So yeah, that was a perfect prep for going away, really. I really kind of grounded some acting rather than just kind of having foundation level, just singing and dancing, because that acting's the pinnacle through it. And I did a lot of acting in there, and it set you up for drama school. And I'd obviously heard about arts education school in London, where I went through someone a couple of years above me who went there. And I thought, I looked into it, did some research, went for a summer school. I thought, that's the school for me. That's where I want to go. So I'm going to work towards that.
The arts ed course is how long exactly?
3 years.
3 year course.
At a Bachelor Arts for musical theatre.
Right. lots of our classmates actually from Miss Saigon went into arts ed as well. I mean, it's a really known school in London.
Yeah, it's very prestigious for its musical theatre, especially, but they've got a wonderful acting course as well. Some good courses around that as well. But that tends to be a running joke, I think, with most productions. Like, oh, what year were you in? It happened to be something stupid, like 6 or 7 years of different arts ed students that did Miss Saigon, which is credit to the training. It works.
Right. Well, let's talk about that then. You know me, like ever since we started talking and hanging out, I always had that. I'm not sure if it's a really genuine, deep desire to go to train, or just the whole idea of training. I'm not sure if I'm in love with the idea of training or getting better and honing my craft, or the actual credit of a big drama school on my CV. And we would talk about that, about the misconception about having a big drama school attached to your spotlight CV. And did you find that there's a benefit to that in the real world?
So here's the thing: I'm not a casting director. I can't honestly say, "Oh, Arts Educational Schools London" or "Mount View London" or RADA, Lambda, whatever. I don't know what ticks certain people's boxes.
Right.
What I do potentially believe, someone asked me the same question. One of my good friends, Thomas Mai, he went to Drama Centre and is now a very good actor, and he's doing a similar thing. He's doing a podcast of his own.
Yeah, I listened to that as well. Great podcast.
Wonderful. He asked me, "Oh, if you could do it again, where would you go? Where would you want to go?" Because at the time I was very much like, I don't know if I want to go down the acting route or the musical theatre, but I said honestly, I'm always a big believer of workplace over like the training system. You learn so much more on the job, and you know, I came out of drama school an idiot. I was dumb. I was raw, which is good. And I think by the time I was ready to go, I was really ready to go. And as soon as I hit the first job, I was like, yeah, let's apply everything and do this. But you're a fucking idiot until you start. You don't know what you're doing. You just kind of have so many ideas bubbling around it until you're actually on set and you can talk to someone whose job is vitally important to the show's production.
Right.
You've only just heard about because there is a certain person that does this on the job. You just go, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, so it's really like there's a little bit of a gap from the theory that you're learning in the 3 years in drama school versus actually getting it applied. But once you finally landed your job in the professional world, was there like a moment of, what the fuck? They didn't teach us this in drama school.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, I think it's very much an individual aspect.
Right.
In school, it's very much you are this, you're a business, you're a product, and you're going to do this, and you're typecast for that or whatever, whether that's conscious or subconscious. That I think it's very easy to kind of forget the bigger picture, and there's stuff that does go missed, like just survive, how to be a decent team player that's more than just what you do on stage. So stuff like that you don't find out, and nothing. I've said this to you before, nothing can prepare you for being 8 months deep into a production on a Tuesday afternoon, and you've got to get up and just do the same thing over and over. Nothing can prepare you for that. No. I don't think, anyway, until you're actually doing it. So that's why I'm always a massive believer of workplace. And I think if I had the opportunity to do it again, I don't know how easy it would be, because I've only lived one life, but I'd love to try it at the graft and the hustle and build my way up from that. I mean, I'm not particularly the best person at networking, but if there was, I could see a route maybe of trying it without the drama school. I'd be very interested to see how it works, because I think it is more than doable.
It's so interesting because at least back home, we are so used to not having been told that this is the structure of the industry. So we're forced to network and make things happen for ourselves, or, you know, I mean, do that long route to get to where you think you need to be. So that's all I know. What I don't know is the structure, is having been told, and I like that. I think that's the geek, or that's a student, or the athlete in me, where I'm just told by a coach or a professor that this is A plus B plus C equals this.
Yeah.
And that's what I lack, or that's what I never experienced as an actor or as an artist, which I absolutely love that you guys have the opportunity to have here. It's this structured training to prepare you for the real world. But then it's nice to know that both have their advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah, I think at the time it was the necessary step for me to take. Being from Guernsey, I didn't have the funding, and you know, massive kudos to the Guernsey government, because we have our own little state's government that's separate from the UK.
That blows my mind. That's amazing. That's amazing.
I mean, that's another subject we could talk about. But they have no university level training on the island. So when it comes to going to the UK to train, they will fund you in some sort of way, depending on your parental income. At the time, we were broke as fuck. So
no, I get that. And that's what I was telling you yesterday on Messenger. Like, I'm very, very close. I'm probably 95 to 98% offered a place in a drama school, which it's a big drama school, and I'm just mind blown that I got that far. And you know my story about that.
Yeah.
But then I'm also 95 to 98% sure that I'm not going to do it because of many things, but mainly because it's so expensive. It's really expensive,
and that's the thing. Why I like this comes back to my argument of, do you need the training? And unless you really need the training, I think that there's a million ways to get to from point
to where you.
And I think one of the things I saw when I was growing up was coming from a sporty background. I'm a massive football fan, and seeing that it was Alex Ferguson and Jose Mourinho, the two football managers, and between the two of them, they both got to the peak level of their career.
Right.
One went the educational route, one didn't at all, went straight into the workplace. They both got the same level, but you know, it's a case of what you do with the situation you've got. And if you can, I also believe that there's plenty of people out there willing to help. There's lots of money floating around for companies that need to spend it. And so if you can spend it on someone that needs it, then make it happen.
One of my mentors actually said, because I was at the quandary about whether I should just go to drama school, right? Yeah. And he said, look, drama school is always going to be there, but if you take it now, you're losing probably 2 years of when you're most sellable as an actor, or there's, you know, you physically and, you know, where you can find the most work. And, you know, drama school will never go away. It's always going to be there. So I'm like, that actually changed my perspective of it and really made me think I can actually spend a little bit more years working and then maybe discover what I want to learn later on. There's
no end to the learning, though. You know, there's no end to when you want to do something. Like, that's the beauty of drama school in a way, is you can go when you're 50. Like,
exactly.
I mean, it's out of place, but you know, you're there for your reason. So
exactly. And you'll at that age, you'll probably be in a different mindset and a different place artistically.
Oh, totally.
Like,
I mean,
when I'm 50 or 60, I don't know if I still want to be acting more than maybe directing or being behind the scenes or being a creative or something like that. So it actually changes the whole perspective of things, right?
I think about the fact that I went at 18 and, you know, I was so like I was ready to get off the island, you know, because at that point at 18, you're like, get me off this island. I want to go to the UK and be an actor and all of that. And, you know, you look back and like, shut up, like, what do you know? You're so young and I was dumb as fuck when I was 18. You know, I was still a boy.
Is age like essential? Do you think? Like, is age a big factor in whether you're going to make it as an actor or not?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think people mature at very different speeds. I think a lot of life lessons get dealt out at different times for different people. And you know, there's certain things I can't do now that I'd like to think I can do when I'm 30 or 40 or 50. But you know, certain things that in my acting now, I kind of have I can't cry for shit. Like,
You can't.
I don't know when the last time I properly cried was. Like, and that's something that I don't know whether because I'm a man and that's the hype or whatever. But I'm very lucky in the sense that I've never looked death in the face yet, and some of that stuff I haven't experienced, and I don't want to experience it, but I know I'm going to. So right now, if a scene comes up and it's you know he cries a single tear, I'm like, nah, it's not happening. I've got to get my way around that. You know, there's some stuff I'm not ready for. I'm not old enough to do, but that's because I think I haven't learned those lessons yet.
Right. We're gonna be talking about processing because I really love geeking out. And just so people know, Pierce and I got close. We would have this thing during Miss Saigon in every venue during the tour, wherein we would have this long downtime during the whole. Is that end? No, it's not end of Act 1, is it?
No, it's Tui's intervention.
Tui's death.
Yeah, just before that. I mean,
just before Tui's death. So anyway, so the scene this is right before the big "This is the hour" scene, and on stage is just the engineer, it's Tui, and it's Kim, and it's long. It's a long scene, so all of us are in our Viet Cong army costumes, just waiting for our big "This is the hour" song. So it's a pretty long downtime. So Pierce and I, what we would do in every venue is we'd look for like a little stew room or a quiet room. And when did it? I think did it start in Manchester?
Yeah, I think it did. Those things you're trying to figure out your track in the show, like your backstage track, and then all of a sudden there's just like a group of you in the one place, just getting ready to go on. You're like, all right, good, yeah. Do you know where you're going next? Yeah, I think I do. And then all of a sudden, you kind of keep seeing that person at that spot, and then you get chatting. I think that's probably how we got chatting in the first place.
Yeah, and many things.
Let's go back to that place. Let's find the spot.
Yeah, and it started out with just like literally just hanging out and waiting for our cue.
Yeah.
To some people would be doing push-ups or whatever, and then Pierce and I would always just find a reason to whatever talk about art and film and acting and geek out and I like that. It was one of the things I looked forward to in every venue. It's like, all right, where's our room? This is the hour room. Where am I going to be hanging out with Pierce?
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of started picking your brain about your process and got into what you liked to find as an actor. Or it's different when you're watching actors act and you're also an actor, because now you're looking for something a little bit beyond what the regular audience would see. Right, you're looking for process and all of that. Talk to me about, I love this story. Talk to me about your final audition for Miss Saigon, and I liked hearing how you got into that little workshop of Dreamland scene.
Yeah, so part of the audition was for this was like the finals or whatever it would have been for Miss Saigon, and we had to do another dance round. Then you kind of wait, and then you come back, and then you do the acting workshop, and then come back, and then you do a scene, and then come back, whatever. And part of the workshop was a little acting-based thing. I don't know how much relevance this paid. Apparently, I did a good job, but that's hearsay. But yeah, in terms of what we did, it was you've got, for anyone who hasn't seen the show, there's obviously the Vietnamese girls in the bar, and these rowdy Americans come in and just treat them like that and just use and abuse these girls. And the task was, there was 6 of these gorgeous girls that were dancing in the middle, and all of these American boys that we were playing had to just be in the scene and just do what you might do, and sing the first couple of lines of The Heat Is On, and just use the space, do whatever you want with it. And, we had a time to come in, and then we had a time to sing the lines and whatever, but the rest was down to us. And so it was very clear that there was about 30 or 40 guys. It was something stupid. Like there was loads of guys here.
Right.
And there was just these 6 girls. And I thought, nice. You know, there's a lot of guys, a very few amount of girls. And then instantly in myself, and I don't know how people feel about drawing upon their own experiences, but in that moment there, naturally, I took a step back. I thought, that's a lot of alpha
Yeah.
girls.
Because that's good. That's going to be a shit show. It's like throwing a piece of meat to a lion's den.
Yeah, totally. And
everybody's going to just go into it.
In my head, I'm not an alpha male anyway. So in that situation, I thought, what are the best chances of me actually trying to get that girl? Is it me charging in there like a bull, going straight up to her, going, oh yeah, I've got the biggest muscles, the biggest whatever? No, I wouldn't do that. I would never do that. So I'm thinking, okay. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I need to do something good here because this is my audition, whatever. I need to present myself in the best way I can. And the best way I can is by being different.
Right.
And with that, I thought, and it was funny because we started with one of the rehearsals, as it were, for what we were going to do. And one guy went before the beat. I think it was Brad, actually, who went before the beat. And the resident choreo, or whoever it was, said, hang on, you'll get starts. Don't worry, I know you want to touch the girls or whatever, but all within context, don't worry.
All within safely within context. Yeah.
You know, social distancing was out the window before that point.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, hold on, you will get your chance, just wait for the cue. And I thought, oh, hang on there. If he's charging in, they're all going to be charging in.
At the same time, yep.
So I thought, okay, let's play with this. I'm gonna use this time to be a bit more cute with it and try and just work my way. And if I see a little opportunity, because some of these guys would be nervous as hell. Like some of them are definitely going to be virgins or whatever. You know, not every guy's going to be an alpha male because they're in the army.
Right.
So I tried to use that to my advantage and played the like nervous little cowdy guy in the corner, just trying to creep his way in. I think apparently it worked all right. So
you know what I think, and we kind of recreated that workshop on our first few days when we were rehearsing together as an ensemble, and I love that it was so specific. And that's when I was like, oh my God, this guy knows what he's doing. He's so intuitive. And it was so specific, and it added so much color to the truth of that scene. All of a sudden, you know, it's nice that the GIs are now individuals and they're not just one collective voice or tone or color.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how that got perceived in the end. Like, I don't know whether that kind of carried on, but initially at the start,
none of us knows because we don't see it.
no, exactly. That is a great game, but I just tried to work with what I had and try and work the situation in my favor. Really, I think that's all you can do. And yeah, I guess, and I was the same girl. I think in the workshop when we had the start of rehearsals. I was with her and I thought, oh, I'm just gonna try the same thing, see if it works. And I think that they were liking the things I did, and then went from there. But and then it grew, and then went different ways, and then you had a chance to experiment with it all and whatever.
Yeah, like 1 year of doing that show and that opening number, it's naturally going to change and grow and mature. Are you always that instinctive when approaching a character? Like when you get a side or when you get a role, is there a process? Walk me through your steps in creating a character.
I think, I'm not sure how I feel about the whole kind of relating from where you are or going, you know, to a different place. I mean, I like to take the character as far away as I can first off. I think that's deeply important because, you know, they're probably nothing like you. If they are some bits like you, then great, play on it. Like, you know, you're essentially putting the mask on, you're going to be behind the mask, so use what you've got. But I always try and like to be as different as I can, a bit more. I try and think outside the box without, you know, going outside of the box, literally.
Right.
I mean, every role is so different. You've just got to look for what would be, I guess, truthful. But then again, you know, there's so many characters out there that you look walking down the street and you go, that's not real. But then, you know, walk out in the middle of London and you'll find 100 characters more than that. So, you know, I think there's no limit into what you can do with some characters. I think unless it's really set in stone with so many attachments and labels to it, then sod it, try something different. Like I try and look for something unique in a character and empathize with that.
Do you start with the text first? Like let's say you're given a Shakespeare piece.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like what's your first step? Do you say, oh, this is the emotion of the piece, so I'm gonna just channel that emotion before learning the words? Or do you just like look at the words coldly and just get that wrapped around your tongue? Or I don't know, like
I try and remove any image or preconceptions I have of any character. I think especially like Shakespeare, it's so hard to try and get like
so difficult to do that.
Yeah.
Start with like,
yeah, I think I try and just read the text as plain as I can and then develop ideas from there, and then I'll just start creating an image in my head of what maybe what the character looks like, and then I'll try and run myself around that. Because, you know, imagination's our biggest tool, isn't it? So I can't say that my process probably works for everyone. I wouldn't say I necessarily have a binder with the step-by-step guide. But I think I certainly try and imagine what they would look like, and then I try and embody myself on that image.
Someone's asking, how do you detach? How do you separate yourself and create that mask? How do you detach yourself from a character? And you were saying a while ago that you don't like drawing from your own experiences, or you don't like relating to a character first.
Yeah.
Naturally, we draw from our experiences naturally because that's our body.
Exactly.
But then, how do you draw the line? How do you separate yourself?
I think the more about the character you can find out, the better. And just I think the relationship with its space and the environment and everything is going to be different to yours in 9 times out of 10. And if you can obviously mark the differences very clearly, even if it's a couple of short sentences, like before you have to go on for a quick thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons out of chance?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, that you're creating a little character out of nothing, and you've got to make step-by-step decisions. And sometimes there's a couple of sentences that could just go, oh, yeah, no, my character wouldn't do that. My character wouldn't do that. And then it's finding the little trigger points that takes you away every time. And I think there's certain things that I would do very differently to every character, and understanding that my differences to their differences as much as I can, essentially.
Here's where it gets tricky, because like let's go back to Miss Saigon and that specific character that you create, which you really see living in all but like 2 minutes of the first opening number. And then you put so much effort in creating that really specific and unique character, and then we have to do that 9 shows a week, 8 shows a week, repeatedly. How do you keep it fresh? Like, how I get this question a lot, but how do you keep it interesting, especially when the notion of you're part of the ensemble that's creating a bigger picture? How does it not get stale?
I think you've just got to change your point of interest. Yeah. Ever so slightly every time. Like your want and your objective is probably the same every time. You're probably wanting to do something.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can change your objective as well. Sometimes it's not to go in there and find the first girl and have a lovely night with her. It's sometimes I need to get something off someone. That mightn't be a girl, it mightn't be someone else, and that's where it makes it interesting, because you have a set path in a show that goes from here to here to here. Yeah, and we're probably going to end up with that girl anyway. But what if your desire is actually to find a different girl? Right. Because that's going to change everything about what you do, and obviously you can still keep true with your character and what they would do moment by moment. But if you start changing a few little things, it then makes it a different point of contact. I mean, and I'd also use in Saigon, you know, 6-7 months in, I'm use my tiredness, or I might use my energy that I might have found for some reason.
Yeah,
And
because some days you'd wake up and you're completely unmotivated to go to work, and that's just the reality of it. But as an actor, it's your responsibility to
use it.
use that, to
Yeah.
use it for your advantage.
And I think that was something that was said to me. I can't remember what sport I was doing, but I think it might have been even with judo or something at the time. It's like if you're going into the mat with something, use it in your favor. You
Yeah,
make the most of your situation. I think it was like what Dean was saying last week. You use what you can control.
right.
If you can't escape the fact that you're going tired into a scene, use that. Like drive it. Obviously,
Right.
you know where you've got to get to, and I think we were lucky in the sense that with Saigon and that opening scene, it was so open, it was so free that we could
Very free. Yeah.
an absolute liberty that, sometimes in the back of my mind I'm going, there's the choice of beer and there's cocaine. Beer is going to make you feel very different from cocaine. So if in my tiredness state, if I can use that beer to my advantage, I'm going to use it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the misconception actually that people go into. There's an opportunity all the time to go into this autopilot mode of just going through the motions.
Yeah.
But then that separates that guy from the actor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what gave me a lot of respect for you, because at the times where you were absolutely demotivated or physically tired or just like out of it, you would still find opportunities to create as an actor. And that was really, really admirable. That was amazing. Tell me about the difference between working for a big commercial tour like Miss Saigon, but prior to that, you did the Chichester Festival with Daniel Evans.
Yeah.
Was there, in process or in practice, was there a massive difference?
I think with Fiddler on the Roof, it was learning about Jewish culture was obviously something I didn't know too much about. I barely heard of the musical, to be perfectly honest. So looking into that and then kind of having to empathize with a community that had been, the brunt of the joke for so many years, and just kind of.
So sorry, my neighbors are drilling, like I think they're looking for like some Yamashita gold. They're drilling. I don't know if that's coming across. I hope you don't hear it. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. So I think the difference being there from playing a Jewish community that is so like tiny in a little community, and being discriminated against, and using that, kind of finding out about all of that, and also multi-rolling in that as well, trying to find different nuances for different characters. Was really interesting. And because it was my first job, I kind of went into it quite very methodically and tried to look at different little points of influence and stuff like that. Like the first scene, I was a beggar. I was a homeless beggar with, I think, about 5 layers of costume on and a beard like this long, like a foot long beard that was obviously attached on. And like, you've got to, even if it's down to kind of how does he feel in his clothes, like,
right.
It's so away from yourself in that sense. Like I was really trying to pick out different little details and everything I could to just try and make it as raw and truthful and visceral as I could. But yeah, that was only for 6 weeks, which I think is a lovely amount of time just to kind of really just be in it, immersive, and just kind of live and breathe it.
What was it like? Because I only know of Daniel Evans as George from Sunday in the Park and George. And I'm a massive fan of him as a performer, but what was he like as a director?
He's wonderful, really, really wonderful. And with a relatively big cast, I'd say, for that show. And it felt like a big group thing. It felt like, and Fiddler on the Roof is one of those shows anyway, where it's a community show. It's a wonderful piece of theatre, and he really made that feeling in the company as well. I think, obviously by the time it finished, we were ready to kind of go, okay, that's the chapter that's closed now. But
Oh, that's hard. That's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, it is. It is. But at the time when we were first getting it on its feet, like
Right.
it just every time we went out, it was just like we are here as a company and we're doing the thing, and it was really cool. It was really cool.
And that's a difficult thing to get from versus a big commercial tour that's going to run on for a long time.
Mm.
At least with the smaller shows, you really get that camaraderie and that sense of community as a that you're
Yeah.
all in it together, and there's also a definite end to it. So
Yeah.
you're really, really maximizing every opportunity. Whereas it's very possible for a big show like Miss Saigon, and I think that also happened for us. But then you really needed to exert a little bit more effort to build that camaraderie,
Yeah.
especially on a big commercial tour.
It is, I mean, I don't think you're ever going to keep, 30, 35 people all that close after
Yeah.
anyway. Like, it doesn't matter what the group size is. There's too many different characters.
Right. It's just, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the money aspect in a mega show like that is amazing to have that liberty with as an actor to kind of go venue to venue and just almost live in it and like chill out. You do your 6 weeks in each theatre, like that's that's unheard of. Like, it's very lucky to get the opportunity and kind of live like kings in a sense. Rock up at the theatre at that time of night, go back and chill. And
One whole year, 2018, 2019, we're touring the fucking world, going to Europe, spent Christmas in Zurich, went to Germany, going to all of these gorgeous cities, earning pretty good, right? And then, as an actor's life, as they say, it's an actor's life. Contract ends.
Boom.
What happened? Back into fun
out. 1 month, nothing. No, it was nice just to be back home. I mean, I was still paying for a place in London, which is the harsh reality of it all because we were sharing a place.
Right.
So, and obviously being from Guernsey, I can't just nip back home. So I had all my stuff in London. So I was still paying for that. So I went back and I was just 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm just going to chill out. And then you start to pick yourself up again. Start going to the gym, start trying to find a little part-time job and just be a human.
Talk to me about that, about being a human and these part-time jobs, because I saw you be probably the best performance of an actor in the West End in a chicken suit.
For real though, it is the most important thing. The most important thing. What we do is a liberty. It's a privilege. It's a wonderful exploit and a side addition that we do in our lives. Right. I truly believe that. And the fact that we can get to be artists and tell those stories is amazing. But we are humans at the end of the day who need to just kind of do human things.
Right.
Getting up on stage every night is fucking weird. It's not normal. It
isn't.
Stuff. And even, during the day before you go on stage at night, you can't be normal because you've always got that in the evening. So, I've been unemployed since Miss Saigon for a year now. And
is this a normal thing? Is this a normal thing for actors out here?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. There's hundreds and thousands of actors or actresses that out there, performers that don't do stuff on the regular. It's very rare you'll get stuff. I think there are some very talented people that can go job to job to job.
Yeah.
I'm probably a little bit more picky in a sense that I don't want to just do every job. I'd want to do a job that I enjoy.
Right.
And I feel that's going to challenge me potentially. But yeah, there's some people that work all the time, and I think there's some crazy stat out there that there's like 98% of people are unemployed at any one time if they're an actor. Like, it's stupid. So I think the quicker you kind of get on board with the fact that I'm not going to work all the time,
right,
the easier it is.
yeah. And I actually like that. It's so pragmatic. It's so real that. As an actor, it is work, but you don't get that kind of privilege to work in that field on a regular basis. There's really more struggle and more regularity. So it's not beyond actors to right now, especially take jobs at Tesco or at Sainsbury's, and just be normal human beings. And I think all of these human experiences actually build your character a little bit better as an actor.
Like you wouldn't believe. I had someone recently message me saying that he went for an interview at a warehouse for, I think it was Boohoo.
Yeah.
And he, no, nothing against Boohoo, but the warehouse and the way it was running, I think at this time in the world and stuff, he said it was like he was ready to go there and die. Like it was just terrible. But he says, I want to go for one day just for the experience. And I love
that. I really, really love that. Are there any like particular stories of like epically miserable auditions that you walked into, or rejection stories that, I mean, I love hearing these things.
Yeah. As I was having a quick think before we went up, recently, not too long ago, there was, Love Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, the massive show over here, if anyone hasn't heard of it. It's basically very young, pretty things getting into very little bits of clothing and trying to fall in love on this lovely island in the Mediterranean.
All the men are absolutely jacked and like
huge
model cover, whatever, and all the women are Botox and plastic surgery. Yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous.
And I shamefully, I love the show. I absolutely love it.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it completely is. It's wonderful telly, and it needed a little intro by the sponsors before the show went up.
All right.
It was a takeaway service, Just Eat, and they wanted like a spin-off of Love Island on their sponsor intro. So like they were doing their own version with a delivery driver.
Right.
I mean, very, very funny. You got your man in a delivery biker helmet.
Yeah.
Scrawny little body next to all these jacked guys next to him as they're all walking into the villa, and you just see him and his pasty little white body walking in. And he's trying to do some of the scenes, but obviously he's got helmet on because he's the Just Eat driver.
Yeah.
And I went up for the Just Eat driver, and the money was unreal. Like for 30 segments, it was just crazy money.
You're
and
right.
I put forward for it. But I mean, I'm not in jacked shape and I'm not scrawny, so I was kind of between, and they put me up for the obviously comedic white skinny boy,
right,
as a contrast, and it didn't really work. But it was mental. We all walked into this little hut, and it was just like, okay, your robes are over there. If you just want to get into your bathers and then put your robes on, then we'll call you up. It was like, so you got all these stunning, beautiful people getting into their bathers and putting their robes on, getting ready to go in, and it was obviously all done very, well. It wasn't just kind of like exploitation of your body or anything like that. Of
course, yeah.
And then you just called up and you were all in your waiting room with your robe on, just like this is odd. And then you got to the top room, and then they're like, okay, we're just going to do the sides with you. And then obviously I put the helmet on, and I'm just there in my bathers, and it's a non-spoken role.
Right.
So one woman coming in, she's like, oh, screw you, Derek, you did this, you did that. And I'm just there like, properly, because I'm just in my bathers and a helmet on.
So were they looking for like body language, or what were they?
I don't know. Right. Because it can't have been anything else for that role. I mean, it's not a hugely acting role. It's just as is the way with most commercials, to be honest. Like if you look aesthetically perfect, then great, have the job.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was so bizarre, and like it was at 10 o'clock in the morning in the middle of London.
But I love that. I mean, you're being put up by your agent for all of these commercial stuff, straight drama stuff. I think you were called for a big play on the West End. Needs to be seen for that.
Yeah, that was nice. I mean,
and then you get was that?
Didn't back from it, but it's fine.
Yeah, but we don't hear back from all of these things anyway. Majority of these things. But okay, tell me, because I recently had an audition not too long ago, where I literally felt like, what the hell am I doing? I have no clue what I'm doing. I called called my wife and said, let's just go back to the Philippines. I'm absolutely shit for this job. I don't know why I'm doing this out here. And all but like 5 minutes of existential despair.
Yeah.
Are there auditions? Are you are you so used to these things? But because obviously I'm not. I'm still getting myself ready for these things. But then emotionally, like I walk into the audition room. It was a dance call first, and 200 amazing dancers do it, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here?
Oh, you've got to fully prepare yourself to be just thrown into the deep end. Like, I'd consider myself an all right dancer. I can get by.
You're an amazing dancer. What are you talking about?
I mean, I'm no Royal Ballet, but I can get by. I've done a fair amount of training, I'd say, for most musical theatre shows. But then there's some where you'll jump in and it's be like, oh, we're looking for real people. I want you to move about the space as a real person, and if a fight breaks out, go for it, and and then all of a sudden it's bam, 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 contemporary. Whoa, okay, and again, nothing can prepare you for that. You've just got to just go, literally, fuck it. Let's just throw ourselves in and just go with it. And again, it's one of those life lessons that you don't find out until you're on the job. The quicker you get over the fact of what you like or how ridiculous the situation is, the quicker you just get into it.
So tell me about the duck suit. Tell me about your side hustle, which I absolutely.
So I currently work for a wonderful company called Flight Club in the UK, and it's in Chicago and Boston at the moment as well. It's a massively expanding company from these two guys in the UK who created a pub chain with dartboards that you can play interactively. So like your 10-pin bowling, like your 10-pin bowling, you'd go in, you play with the electronic screen. With darts, you throw the dart in, it will take your score automatically on a plasma in front of you.
So cool.
So it's very much what the London hype at the moment. There's a couple of mini golf places that do something similar, but Flight Club is essentially a darts themed bar and semi-restaurant, and you can do a lot of companies in the city will do like fun evenings out, basically.
Yeah.
They'll have 40, 50 bankers or lawyers or whatever, and they'll want to play a tournament. So I'm the games master. I'll run their tournament, offer some light relief.
In a duck suit.
Well, that one is in a bowler hat and waistcoat. The duck is a themed roll-up for anyone that's just coming in on a Thursday or Friday to come and play for free.
Yeah.
The winning games, they get a shot. So
that's great, because like you still kind of there's still a performative aspect to it. You're still performing. You're still an actor. Facilitating a room, right?
I wasn't expecting going into a performing job. It was almost like I'm just going to get a very normal job and just earn my money and go home and eat my dinner. But actually, turned out I was looking through the website for ages and I saw Flight Club Darts. Looking for a games master, I was like, oh, I love darts.
Oh, that's great.
I have to go just to find out what it is. And it was actually an actor there who was looking after other actors who were games masters as well. And he says, yeah, it's an acting job, basically.
Yeah, great. It's great.
Where you're performing to the public, you're being like a game show host.
Right.
And you're going to run a tournament with them. How do you feel about comfortably speaking aloud? And I was like, well, yeah, I'd like to say I'm an actor. I'll do that. And so, yeah, that's kind of been my life for the last year now. It's been essentially performing to city bankers and people working in the city doing proper jobs, unlike me, and offering some light relief on an evening out.
I love it.
And yeah, it's good. It's good fun. I mean, it's absolutely ruined my voice, but you know what? It's been real good fun. It's been real good fun, if nothing else.
And there's still so much dignity into it. I mean, we do what we do. You know what I mean? We hustle the way we hustle just so that we can do what we love to do. A lot of people don't know this. Well, I'm about to say it. That you're I think you're
the chicken suit or duck suit.
Yeah,
wasn't offered to me when I got the job. It was. It was kind of like, oh yeah, we have this thing on the side we're working with at the moment. I was like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, whatever. And then when I went after a couple of times, they were like, okay, so we do this thing on a Thursday, Friday. You dress up as a duck and then you go around.
What?
Basically yellow dungarees and a yellow base cap. I mean, if you feel free to post a photo on after, I really don't care.
Yeah, I have a photo of that somewhere.
Yeah, it's one of those things you've just got to go. And I used it in my kind of setup, going around trying to get people to play. I'd go, yes, I'm dressed as a duck. It's exactly what you see. However, do you fancy playing a couple of darts and whatever?
I love it. That's amazing. I'm very charming games host, games master as well. We saw you in action. It's really cool. I love that you're also really, really talented with dialects. And I find that recently I had an audition where they were specific about me having a northern accent. And having an accent or having a dialect is brand new information for me. We don't really have that back home or back in the Philippines. Usually just a neutral English or American English accent is passable for a lot of material back home, but out here they're very specific about northern whatever. So I need you to give me like a quick 2-minute, 3-minute crash course. I'm gonna just throw some regions to you.
Oh, okay.
Let's come up with a line. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Do you fancy a game of darts?
All right. Okay. I'll try it.
I'm gonna throw regions to you. I just want people to hear how amazing you are at this thing. Okay. Give me a standard RP accent.
Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Would you like a game of darts?
That's so cool. All right. Give me a Mancunian one, Manchester.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Would you fancy a game of darts?
Essex.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you fancy a game of darts?
Irish.
Southern?
Okay. Northern Ireland.
So Northern Ireland's where my dad's from, so it'd be like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you fancy a game of darts?
And Southern Ireland?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you fancy a game of darts?
Oh, that's amazing. Welsh.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you fancy a game of darts?
So cool. That's Scottish.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, fancy a game of darts?
And it's so nuanced as well. It's so different. Wait, that's gonna be the last one. Guernsey.
Would you fancy a game of darts?
Seriously?
Don't ask about the Guernsey accent. It is mental.
Okay, here's the last one, which I love, and I trained you well for this. Give me a Filipino accent for that.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, fancy a game of darts? No, I mean, I haven't rehearsed them.
Do you remember any of the Filipino stuff that I've been teaching you?
Nothing that's probably acceptable for this channel.
Why not? People would go crazy.
Can I just say, I love there's the NHS advert at the moment, and I absolutely know she's from the Philippines because I've talked to a lot. And bless her heart, she's always like, I would like to thank my Uber driver for getting me to and from work every day. And I was like, oh, it's a very, very like specifically Filipino accent, and I love it.
We have loads of Filipino nurses out here working for the NHS in the medical field. Amazing, really.
Big up to them.
Yeah. Well, mate, we're almost done, but then look at this fucking new normal where we're at. Like, all of a sudden, we're watching more films and watching more plays online, and we would geek out about how much we loved watching film. We watched a film together at the Odeon, right?
Oh yeah, 1917.
1917, and Pierce is a massive film fan, and I love just talking to him about films. And was there anything recently that you just were blown away by?
I saw Parasite.
Yeah, finally, and
finally saw Parasite. Yeah, I mean, yeah, beautiful. Like, just really well shot, and just that very Hitchcocky vibe of just keeping you on the edge and not sure where it's turning, and yeah, just so different as well.
Did you watch the black and white version? Because there's another release of a black and white version.
No. Oh, I might need to watch that.
Yeah, so he's going to do the whole film, but it was graded specifically for black and white, which I think is going to be a little bit more intense. And almost grotesque, very Hitchcock.
Ooh.
But other than Parasite, were there like any recent like film performances that just blew you away? Apart from Tom Hardy, of course.
Oh, well.
Tom Hardy, our boy Tom.
What have I watched recently? I watched I tried to get around with all the Oscar nods and stuff, and obviously Joaquin Phoenix in Joker was, I thought, pretty exemplary. Yeah, again, stuff like that is just he's just gone and done something so different with it. Like, he's completely made it his own, and he's like, I love his physicality anyway. Like, it was a bit Theo Twombly. Is it Theo Twombly from the what's that film, The Masters? No.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very that kind of physicality, but I mean, still, he's nuts. He's nuts. Like, if anyone hasn't seen Her, I think it's just a masterpiece in like close-up work as well from him, and
even a directorial work from Spike Jonze.
Oh,
I mean, just the balls that he had to do that whole love scene just with a black screen.
And it could quite easily be such a boring film as well. And he just made it just so beautiful to watch and just heart-wrenching as well at the same time.
I remember during Saigon, during the Oscar season, we watched Roma in our digs back then. We were Norwich, was it?
Yeah,
we were in Norwich, and we watched Roma, and that eventually won all the awards. So interesting. What is it that you look for? Why do you like actors like Tom Hardy and Joaquin Phoenix? What is it about their performance that just draws you in?
I think going back to the dialects and stuff, I think the reason why I like dialects, and obviously I haven't really brushed up on my dialects as much, but
sounds amazing.
My dad, when I was younger, would always spitball with me and kind of pretend to be different people and stuff like that. And I think I really love it when an actor kind of goes into that place of creating a different voice. And it's certainly one of the things that I think, in retrospect now, thinking if I can find a voice for them, if I can find that voice of something different, and especially with the physicality as well, I think coming from a dancer's background and physical movement, I really appreciate that side of stuff as well. So those being like two massive key components. Because I mean, let's have it out. Like, a lot of people can act well in close or in medium close. I mean, the real money makers are the exceptionally good in close-ups, but most people can act well in a medium. Let's say a medium, or the thing that starts picking a people apart, I'd say, is that physicality. If those are so like unique and raw and arguably truthful, then I'm instantly like, oh, okay, what are they doing here? What are they doing? What are they playing around with? Why are they doing it like that? And it almost gets me on the front of my seat, because it's not just just me acting in a mid shot like I am now and just talking to you like, as soon as something else is going on, you're like, okay. And a lot of people might say, oh, he's putting it on, or he's just doing that because he's doing that, but I'd like to think that there's some method and some reasoning behind why they're doing something. So it kind of gets me interested.
An actor can just stand on stage or on screen, just stand, and you can tell that there's so much. It's loaded with so much process.
I mean, Cumberbatch's first 20 minutes, he's rolling around on the floor.
Exactly.
How is that like this?
It felt like 30 minutes, like the whole thing.
I don't know what it was, but again, I was just watching it. Like, it's nature, isn't it? You look at something that doesn't move the way you do, and you're instantly intrigued.
And just that was an amazing performance of Frankenstein, Cumberbatch. Insane, like absolutely insane. Going back to Tom Hardy and why we love him so much, I think what excites me about Tom Hardy is that he's never the same in everything that he does. I realized that I saw him first in Band of Brothers when he was a young bloke, probably your age,
Oh, Band of Brothers is so good. Anyone who hasn't seen Band of Brothers, please watch it.
And all of them eventually became big stars. Each one of these faceless guys in Band of Brothers. Anyway, but Tom Hardy, and then eventually he lands Bane in Batman. Bane in Batman, and he, for a big guy, he has that. He decided to have this little small voice that it's just disconcerting, and just that choice of that sound is so interesting to me.
Yeah, I think a lot of his more recent films, I'd kind of argue as being a bit more, give it or take it. But some of the
Venom.
I had a massive obsession with Bronson when it came out.
Oh yeah,
like huge, because he's a 5'9" guy, which is the same size I am, and that's probably why I like it so much, because he's the same size as me. I'm thinking, oh, I could look like that. But for a 5'9" guy to put on that size, go bald, start changing his voice, his movement, and everything, I was just like that. What appealed me so much was that's not Tom Hardy. That is Charles Bronson. That is who he is. I mean, I've never seen Charles Bronson, but I believe in who that is now. Obviously, the research and whatever, and you see, he is slightly different from the real Charles Bronson, but he went to that place that was so away from himself as that, and I was like, oh wow, like that's something that I can aspire to be like and do and whatever with characters, and it really massively influenced like the show I did in my BTEC, where I thought, yeah, I'm going to shave my head as well. I'm going to paint my face in makeup just because I can, and it's different. And obviously, I didn't just do it because I wanted to be like Tom Hardy. I obviously found a bit of a reason for doing it rather than just doing it. But yeah, I think the amazing thing about like Tom, especially, is he's very multifaceted in the sense that Bane was going to have a mask. So he just uses his eyes. I mean, he doesn't move for about 3 minutes. He's just there like this, and then ever so slightly you'll see him close, and then he'll give a blink away. Yeah, and that'll be it. So he's using different parts of his instrument, his tool, and like I mean
that voice that he created for Bane was so interesting, because reading the books, you would not. I did not imagine that that would be the sound of Bane at all.
Gentle giant.
Yeah, it was like a gentle giant. Like he was a gentleman.
But there's also a fragility in his voice as well. You can tell, because he's got that massive respiratory thing he's got on. There is a weakness there. Yeah, there's a weakness, and that's how he's getting it across to us that there is some vulnerability there. He's come from humble beginnings. He's had to work his way up, but yeah, there is still a fragility to him. And his role in Peaky Blinders. I mean, yeah, that's classic. Tom.
Yeah, and then he's about to come out as Al Capone, is he?
Yeah, old Al Capone, towards his death,
right?
Which would be really interesting to see. I think he's got a pick recently with his voice. I think kind of doing the same. Oh, I'm Tom Hardy. But
that's Hollywood, isn't it? It's like once they see something that works, they're gonna try and let's just keep doing. They're gonna beat that horse until it's dead. So,
but like you look at the range of what he's played, and like I think that arguably the most successful actors are the ones that have the most range.
That's true.
You look at Johnny Depp. You look at Dustin Hoffman. You look at De Niro. You look at all these guys. They just go so far away from themselves, and that's something that I can only aspire to try and do with some of the stuff that I have.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen right now, because before we end, I want people to see a glimpse of how you were back in drama school. Tell me about this. I
love this, because as much as we do theatre,
it's finished.
What's here?
The sinful woman.
How splendid! Let's read and sound.
I've got the last chapter here.
Go on, then.
Paris in the spring. The Champs-Élysées alive and dancing in the sunlight. Lightly dressed children, like gay painted butterflies. The streets thronged with hurrying vehicles, nothing but peep or taxi hooters.
You love peep.
Seemed to merge in with the other vivid noises, waving a vast pack of sound which was Paris.
What was Paris, dear?
Well, which was Paris?
What was Paris?
You can't say a vast pack and sound which was Paris.
Yes, but what was Paris?
The vast pack and sound which was Paris.
Oh, I see.
Jane Sefton, in her scarlet smile, strode out of the Rue Saint-Honoré into the Place de la Concorde.
No, she couldn't have. Why? The Rue Saint-Honoré doesn't lead into the Place de la Concorde.
Yes, it does.
You're thinking of the Rue Grandfather.
I'm not thinking anything of the sort.
David, darling, don't be obstinate.
You don't think I don't know Paris as well as you do? Never mind, Father's probably right.
He isn't right. He's wrong.
Shut up, Sorrel.
Shut up yourself, you pompous little beast.
You think you know such a lot about everything, and you're as ignorant as a frog.
What a frog. David, darling, I give you my solemn promise that you're wrong.
And a conscious on promise, because I know I'm right. It's no use arguing your father, mother.
Why is it no use arguing with father?
Because you're both so big-headed. Are you content to sit here, Judith, and let your son insult me?
He's your son as well as mine.
I begin to doubt it.
David!
How can you?
Mother, do sit down and be quiet.
How can you talk about like that?
Oh, the leader of my own daughter should turn against me.
Don't be so theatrical.
I'm not theatrical. I'm wounded to the heart.
Rubbish, rubbish, rubbish.
Don't you say rubbish to me.
I will say rubbish to you.
All right. That's amazing.
It's yeah, I love that. It was I hope I'm all right for sharing all of that, but it was just a rehearsal bit of footage. But yeah, it was a Noel Coward play called Hay Fever, and obviously had to multi-role quite a few of the characters, so I ended up playing the dad. But yeah, it was a wonderful bit of like exploration of just a bit of old English comedy, shall we say?
I love it. I love it. I hope I really can see you in more stuff like that eventually.
I'd love to do some more stuff like that. Like it's just it's interesting with where the industry's going and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, I'd love to kind of do plays and stuff like that, but I think unfortunately everything's going to be moved digitally. So
yeah,
obviously I want to do work as well. But yeah,
how are you adjusting to that right now? Like in terms of as an actor, are you learning monologues? Are you?
Yeah, well, I think it's quite hard to get. With some people, I think it's very easy to be creative in this time. Right. Do lots of creative things and actory things. Me, not so much. I mean, I'm quite happy watching films. I'm playing some very interesting video games at the moment, which
of course you
I
are.
will argue are very productive. But also, yeah, I think I'm just being very human at the moment. And if I have a moment of inspiration and creativity, I'm going to go with that. I've got a monologues book, which I think is just going to be like get in front of the screen, just try a few bits of text out. I mean, right. I randomly did that with the Merchant of Venice speech, which I love. And, you know, I was just playing around with different accents, different kind of pitches, physicalities and stuff like that. Just, it's a good bit of text.
Yeah, I love it.
Have a play around with. So I'm going to start doing a bit more of that over the next couple of weeks, I think.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, mate. It was always such a good time to talk to you. And I'm glad we got to share a little bit of that with some people. Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
But we still are going to do some stuff together for sure. And once the lockdown's over, let's grab a drink, grab a meal, and just geek out more.
Indeed.
Right?
Indeed.
Right. That's it, guys. Pierce Rogan, probably one of my favorite human beings and actors on this side of the planet. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Goodbye, guys. See you next week.